Come see us on tour in Hartford, Connecticut, Syracuse, Atlantic City, Levittown, New York, Co-Host, New York, Providence, Rhode Island, Los Angeles, Bakersfield, San Jose, Toledo, Ohio, and Toronto, Ontario. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets. Guess what Bill Maher said? Bill Maher is waking up, I guess, a little. Let's listen.
California is projected to lose 3 seats, New York 2. Also going to lose a seat, Minnesota, Oregon, Rhode Island, Illinois, all blue states.
And that's because people are leaving those states. And what Bill doesn't realize, that's what the open borders was supposed to make up for. Okay. Okay.
Now it's ruined.
Yeah. Okay.
Who's getting these? Texas, Florida, Idaho, and Utah. I mean, this looks like game over, you know, and the reason why people are voting with their feet is a lot of what your book is about.
Yeah.
Taxes and regulation. I certainly have been screaming about it forever. I did 3 years with a sign here that said, how long is it going to take me to get my solar hooked up? 3 years. Talking about it on television in this state. You couldn't do it. This state has almost 400,000 regulations. I just put in a new roof because the fire, I thought, oh, let's get a roof that's not going to burn up. 2 inspections. Why are you inspecting my roof? It's my fucking roof. If it falls on me, that's my problem.
I mean, imagine if they'd inspected for massive catastrophic fires in the state of California instead of his roof bullshit. Imagine if that happened. Imagine.
I think they did, but they didn't take the next step.
Bill, if your roof falls on if your roof falls on you and you die and they didn't inspect it, it means they didn't make any money off your new roof.
It's pretty obvious.
I mean, listening to Bill Maher make absolute sense is like the one sane thing your crazy aunt ever said to you. You have to take a moment to process it, really. It's and the Democrats have become the party of panic and punitive measures against the ones who can't afford it. They're more like war stocks than Woodstock. Am I right? Yes. Here, he's got more to say.
And we're taxed more than any other state. People are leaving these kind of states for places where they're not, they feel the heavy breath of government on them. It's not that hard for Democrats to understand this, but they seem to be incapable of doing anything about it.
So we poll this.
But Bill, they're not, first of all, they're not incapable. They're utterly corrupt. It's not that they're just goofs. Oh, they were just a little smarter, or if they just
they're a bunch of goofballs. These guys.
Yeah, these guys. No, they're corrupt. They're not incapable. I mean, I know it looks grim now, Bill, but just give the governor a chance for his podcast to take off, and I think everything's going to work out.
I started a podcast when I couldn't get Hollywood work no more.
Here we go.
Leaving on cost of living. That's all part of it. They're leaving because they can't afford homes. And it's a huge, not just political problem, those numbers you just gave.
Like the people, the governor and the politicians in California they know that people can't afford homes here. Housing prices are crazy. They know that. And what's their plan to fix that? Nothing.
In fact, they want the homes of people who can't afford homes burned down. They burned
down a rich community and a middle class community at the same time.
Too many people have homes.
Too many.
That was the problem that they wanted to solve, and they solved it.
After 2030, if that holds, a Democrat could win every state Kamala Harris won, win Michigan, win Pennsylvania, and I'm just blanking on the third blue wall state, win Michigan, win Pennsylvania, and win Wisconsin, and lose the presidential election, right? The blue wall would no longer be enough for them to win. And you have to take that.
You mean they could win those 3 states and still
lose the presidential? That's how bad it is, right?
Wow.
And that's because they are driving people out, working class families out of the states they govern because the cost of living is too high. And the cost of living is too high in part for regulatory reasons, in part for taxes. But the big problem is they just don't have enough of the things people need. Not enough homes, not enough energy, not a government capable of delivering, and they've been
the government is capable of delivering, Ezra. They're just not gonna deliver for the regular person. Okay, they're delivering for rich real estate developers, for Silicon Valley, for the war machine and weapons manufacturers, and for Walt. They're delivering for all those people. They're just
we
not.
delivered on Ukraine so good they had enough to sell to other countries that are against us.
That's right. That's how well they delivered for Ukraine. They can deliver. They're just not going to deliver for you. Okay, here we go. More.
Treating that as not a real problem. You were talking about your solar sign. California high-speed rail, it's a huge disaster, but nobody's ever done anything about it. If you tried to build it again, it would go the exact same way.
High-speed rail?
Yeah, California's high-speed rail.
I think we first passed it in 2008.
Mm-hmm.
And it was supposed to go from San Diego to San Francisco. High-speed rail from San Diego to San Francisco. You know where it goes now? They actually been building it. It goes from Bakersfield to Merced. No places nobody goes, nobody wants to go. They want it to go from San Diego to Los Angeles to San Francisco. That's where people want it. It's going It's going someplace nobody goes.
Well, don't get upset because guess what? It's never going to be made.
and it's not even made. It's not even functional between Bakersfield and Merced, and it never will be. It never will be. And why? Because we're corrupt.
Do you think, Bill, these two geniuses on this iconic show are going to put together that they live in a mafia-run town and it's a mafia situation?
That's right. I
know the deep state's a dirty word, but you got to understand. Think of the mafia. They told you there was no such thing as the mafia.
That's right.
Okay? So now, you're not putting together this is the most, out of Goodfellas kind of shit ever. It don't make money. We're going to burn it down. That's cheaper than trying to fix it. I mean, these are like mafia things.
Yes. It's cheaper to let the cities burn down than it is to actually, buy 1,000 fire trucks, fill them with water, put them in a yard.
Jimmy, we got all these investments coming in, Jimmy. Okay. I got a podcast coming out. I'm talking to Charlie Kirk. That's going to go awesome.
There's more.
I think they just voted about something about it again. It's projected. Just give up. Just to build. I think from Bakersfield to Merced. Who the hell wants to go from Bakersfield to Merced? They couldn't do that.
I went out and toured this for the day. And the people building it were perfectly clear with me. Look, this doesn't work if we don't do LA to San Francisco. And they don't have the money to do LA to San Francisco. And they don't have the regulatory structure to do it. They have been they started clearing the rail track through environmental review. The whole point of high-speed rail is it's good for the environment.
Right.
They started clearing it through environmental review in 2012. By the end of 2024, when I was fact-checking the book, it was almost done. The reviews were almost done.
Yeah.
And the thing that
12 years to get the environmental okays to build the high-speed rail, which is supposed to be helping us with climate change.
Wait, we got to pave the Brazilian rainforest to have a meeting about this.
Yes, that's right.
Bothers me about it, in addition to we didn't get high-speed rail, is they didn't change it, right? Okay, huge failure. Learn something. Make it so it won't happen again. The problem is that the right, we've just been talking about this, the personality type of the right is autocratic now. And the personality type of the left is bureaucratic. And you can't govern if you are this obsessed with process. And you can see it in the outcomes. If you want to sideline dangerous populist right autocratic movements, you got to offer people the fruits of effective government. If the places you govern are not advertisements for your governance, you are going to lose.
Hey, thanks, Captain Hindsight. Wow.
It's just depressing to live in a country where it still takes nearly 3 hours to get from Washington to New York. This is the great avenue, right? You can't get there in less than 3 hours. It should be 40 minutes on a real train. I couldn't agree with you more, but what I want to know is why is that any different than what they're doing in the red states? So deregulate, lots of energy, lots of building.
In part, there are places where red states have it right. Look, Houston and Austin, when people move there, they build more houses. They just do. They build multiples more houses per, 1,000 people who come in there than LA and San Francisco and New York City do. LA and San Francisco and New York City should take a page out of Texas's book on this. The problem with a bunch of the red states is the vision of where they want to go with things, right? The fascinating thing to me about Texas is it's building as much clean energy as it is, even though the politics are anti-clean energy. The Texas governor, the Texas legislature, they keep putting up bills to make it harder, but because the default in Texas is it's easy to build, and building clean energy is profitable because of the Inflation Reduction Act and the technology and a bunch of other things, they're still building a ton of it.
So here's what some people on Twitter had to say about, unfortunately, many of those who leave those blue states bring their politics with them. No, I think once they loot, they've been radicalized enough to leave the blue state and move to a red state.
Yeah, this is like a thing of keep the electoral college. I feel like agenda.
Yeah,
like because people will vote wrong because he said dangerous populist right movements. I presume he means like MAGA. I mean, I'm not dangerous to what? I'm not sure. Houthis, but it's all like clear-eyed now after Kamala. Before Kamala, it was like she's great. Obviously, she's going to win. Ezra Klein wouldn't say none of this before then. As soon as everybody made their money on the human shitcoin that is Kamala Harris, and they did a pump and dump on her, that's why they ran a great campaign, because everybody got rich on a losing candidate. That's what they mean by that.
But this is also, again, so now we can throw the bums out and we'll bring in new bums.
Yeah.
That's all this means. As James Corbett just explained, and he explains well in his book, you're being controlled by, don't look up, because that's who's actually controlling you. It's the oligarchs, and it's international. They created the European Union. They have complete financial control of the world.
Yeah,
and they want us fighting amongst each other.
I want to make that clear.
They want us
more than just Israel.
Yeah, that's right. They want us fighting each other, so we don't come together to fight them. That's what this is. This is the game. So let me read you a few more of these tweets. Every single time a party loses an election, people like Bill Maher say the party is dying. That's it. Game over. No, it's not. The Democrats are going to rule again, and soon. Unfortunately, but it's true. Their party is in complete free fall, and it's absolutely stunning to watch them continue to double down on their ways, because if they changed, they would have to go against their donors, and that's who they serve. So they're going to only change in ways on the margin. That's why they've been talking about trans issues. That's why they've been talking about racism. That's why they've been talking about white supremacy. That's why they've been talking about LGBTQ. That's why they've been talking about #MeToo. That's why they've been talking about all that stuff to keep you from realizing you're being screwed from above, not from your side. That's why they want you to hate your neighbor. And
well, I think we're missing
and Trump and Elon Musk want you to think it's the Democrats are the problem, and the Democrats want you to think it's the Republicans are the problem, and that's not the problem. The problem is they don't want us to eat, so that keeps us divided, and they don't want us to come together to realize that we're being screwed over by a government that delivers 100%. For the military-industrial complex, for Wall Street, for the Silicon Valley, for big insurance, for big farm. They deliver 100%. They just don't deliver for you, and neither of them will. Democrats nor Republicans. That's what people need to keep. Donald Trump is not going after the Pentagon. He's not going to reduce that money. He's going to try to find ways to cut your Social Security. He's going to try to find ways to cut your Medicare and your Medicaid. He's going to try to find ways to do that. But they're not going to try to find a way to get rid of 800. I heard someone say, they got to rip the Band-Aid off, Jimmy. Yeah, ripping the Band-Aid off would mean closing 800 military bases we have around the world, taking our 5 aircraft carriers out of the Red Sea, bringing them home, stop funding Israel. That would be ripping the Band-Aid off. They're not ripping the Band-Aid off.
But there's pirates.
They're not doing. But there's pirates now. But there's pirates in the Red Sea. They're not doing that. So it's just amazing to hear people repeat verbatim what the State Department, the corporate news, and Marco Rubio are saying, as if it's smart or as if they thought of it. Oh no, we've got to hit back at the Houthis in Yemen. The problem in the world are the Houthis in Yemen, and that's why we have to bomb them. Well, they bombed us first. What the fuck are we doing here? Hey, if Russia had a fleet of aircraft carriers in the Gulf of Mexico, and that would be their fault if someone bombed them there. They're not there. We're there. Where again, Trump's whole thing in 2016 and 2020 and 2024 was let's get out of the Middle East. It's not our problem. And we're right back in there. So again, they know how to deliver for the military industrial complex like that. $113 billion out the door at the blink of an eye to Ukraine, which was all a money funneling operation. That's all Ukraine was.
Look, you just saw the soda thing. Like, you think these are real people that are like, yeah, get the Houthis like that?
Right.
You think there's not a paid shill program?
That's right.
As there has been for all these conflicts. When you see so many of them, you start to notice them. I think we're just missing the important point here, which is we got to always stay within the two-party Masonic system of Democrat, Republican. Oh, Democrats are going to... Who gives a shit about them or Republicans? Or anything? Is anything going to be fixed? Like, what did you fix? I don't give a shit about your stupid team. I don't care. And everything's in terms of that. It's always to make you think in terms... Will the Democrats come back next year? What's this, the fucking baseball?
I know. It looked like the game was over for Republicans not so long ago. The Democrats just need the next Clinton or Obama. Sadly, though, there's no obvious heir apparent. Sadly?
Oh, yeah, no, we need that.
As if things were better.
Obama.
As if things were better under Obama or Joe Biden. They weren't. They weren't better. They were worse.
That's what I'm saying. He's looking at it like it's the Yankees.
Yes.
And they got to get these new players. Because it doesn't... You don't have to find a conspiracy. The shit's happening to you, probably.
It's right.
Like you don't have to look for anything deeper than what they did.
Stotpie says, I'm in California, have been considering moving because the only way to afford a bigger place is to move out of state. If I simply rebought my house today, mortgage would be triple. Property taxes would double with no quality of life increase. Completely cooked. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So Bill Maher, look at he's like, hey, the Democrats can't deliver. The problem is thinking that they can. That he's thinking that they're just incapable. This was what Ezra Klein said. No, they're capable. They deliver. They're just not going to deliver
Klein's
for
a
you.
Scumbag. He's one of the worst people I've ever. He's really a bad dude.
Who's this?
But Ezra Klein. I can't stand that dude. I mean, I know his work going way back. He's like everything is such calculated scumbaggery. It actually makes me mad watching somebody be in that, like, oh, I'm just going to say the real thing. You're not smart because you said the real thing. We all knew the real thing for how many years? Like, you just feel safe saying it now in your position. Fuck you, dude.
Our sponsors, Colonial Metals Group, helped me with my goal of protecting my financial future. Being at the whim of the stock market or the current administration doesn't make me feel safe or secure, but having a self-directed IRA where I can safely store gold and silver, assets that have stood the test of time, no matter what the economy or the government policies are, makes sense to me. Colonial Metals Group has helped me create a self-directed IRA where I can have direct access to my assets. Let the team of experts at Colonial Metals Group help you protect your family's future. Their level of professionalism and ability to listen make it easy for you to learn everything you need to know about preserving all you've worked for. Maybe you're just getting started, or maybe you're already in a 401k or an IRA, or you're thinking about your parents' retirement. Regardless, Colonial Metals Group can help. We put together a special offer for our audience. Click on the link in the description below or call our special 800 number and you can receive a safe and up to $7,500 in free silver. That number is 888-910-1419. We love working with Colonial Metals. I chose them when I purchased my gold and silver for my retirement. No matter who you choose to purchase precious metals from, make sure you know the fees up front and what their markup is, and make sure you're getting a competitive price. Come see us on tour in Hartford, Connecticut, Syracuse, Atlantic City, Levittown, New York, Cohost, New York, Providence, Rhode Island, Los Angeles, Bakersfield, San Jose, Toledo, Ohio, and Toronto, Ontario. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets.